Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this morning for our second webinar in our AI series. So today we're going to be talking about unlocking agent potential, supporting your agents with AI copilots. So let's get going. So just by way of introductions, my name is Patsy Niaku. I'm the head of commercial operations here at Talkative, and I'm joined today by my wonderful co-host, Stephen Williams, who is head of sales and will be guiding us through a live demo of the suite later on. Just as an overview of the agenda, what's coming up. So first of all, looking at AI copilots, what are they? What do they do? Before we start looking at kind of how do they actually enhance efficiency for agents and supervisors? How do they do that? And what are the obstacles that we need to be overcoming? Before we then go into the live demo of the Talkative AI Copiloting Suite, and then there will be a Q&A session at the end. So for any point during the webinar you do have any questions, please feel free to put them in the question section at the bottom of your screens. And at some point during the webinar, we will be launching a poll as well. So stay tuned for that. So let's go. So AI copilots, what are they and why should we be adopting them? I think it's really key here to just, first of all, take stock of the overall landscape, where we're at with generative AI in 2024. So where are we seeing initiatives in businesses for generative AI? So I've taken this from Gartner, this piece of research, looking at where is the investment and how is AI being deployed today? And you can see overwhelmingly, number one, numero uno, is for customer experience and retention. So the message here is contact center, customer service, customer experience really is the sector where we can see and drive the most transformative changes to our practices, to deliver better results for customers as well. So we really have an opportunity here to really seize the moment and adopt these technologies in a way that works well for businesses, works well for your setups, your individual setups, to actually drive those results. How generative AI works is based on large language models, or LLMs, which we've seen a huge expansion of in recent times over the past couple of years, into the mass market. And that's really what's driven this surge. How generative AI works in the context of the contact center and customer service is it uses the large language model technology and combines that with also data sets and knowledge bases that are internal to your organization, with contextual information from conversations and interactions as well, in order to generate answers. And those answers are new and generated fresh every single time. The most popular deployment that we've seen so far of generative AI has been external customer-facing chatbots. Now, these are wildly successful. We've seen great results from them, but they are by no means the only way that you can effectively adopt generative AI into your contact center setup. So this is what we're going to be looking at today. This slide, if you can spot it, has probably one of the best puns you'll see all week, certainly today, but nonetheless really important to make sure that before you go any further, you have to make sure that your knowledge base protocols are all set up properly. So we still are seeing the biggest barrier to getting going, to starting with adopting any form of generative AI deployment is not having a properly set up knowledge base. So your AI tools are only going to be as effective and as good as the information that you give them. So with a co-piloting tool, this might mean that your data needs to be maybe a bit more structured, maybe have a little bit more detail, as the agents are going to be pulling from that rather than just generating answers for customers. So get your docs in a row before you start. And yeah, I'm here all week. Once you've got those set up, get them in a place where they're easy to maintain. Like I said, nicely structured, good levels of detail in there. And once they're in a place that they can be, maintained, there is, the capability from within Talkative to auto refresh those documents as well. So always worth taking time to mention that. So what are copilots? Well, in short, at a basic level, an AI copilot, a copilot is an internal facing suite of tools that is designed to act as a personal assistant to your agents and also to your supervisors. Now, we've seen, if people think of copilots, the first company that sort of springs to mind is often Microsoft. Now, as of yesterday, they've actually got 130 different co-piloting tools available. So it's absolutely massive. At Talkative, we've actually been able to distill that down in the kind of context of customer service and customer experience. Really, what are the things that are required? What do we need to deliver to a business to actually get the benefits, to see the results and drive those changes? We've distilled it down into these 4 areas. So the first one is access to knowledge. So it's about having the knowledge, but also being able to give your agents quick and easy ways to access that knowledge when they're in the moment. They're in the middle of a conversation or an interaction with your customers, and they need to be able to answer a quick question to the copilot, get that back, and be confident in the accuracy. The co-piloting tool then has the ability to manipulate. So the agent has the ability to then change through AI or through manual changes that knowledge that has been generated to them. So rephrasing, spelling, grammar, lengthening or shortening answers, making them maybe more friendly or professional. And really, it's about making sure that agents are feeling more secure and confident in their answers. They're delivering much faster responses, and customers aren't left hanging around waiting for an answer that may or may not be professional or in line with how your company wants to be presented when speaking to a customer. There's also an area of the platform that we will delve into in a little bit more depth as well today, that is all about guiding that agent, sitting next to them as a personal assistant and guiding them through the appropriate next steps, next actions that they should be taking based on the context of the conversations that they're having. On the flip side, for supervisors, it's about making sure that your supervisors are fully across what is going on, what's going on, what are the conversations that are being had, where are they being had, what's being said, what are the trends, and also minimizing the time spent actually pulling those reports, scanning for that information, finding that information, and being able to deliver it to other stakeholders within the business. There's also a suite, an area within the suite as well that assists with training and ramp up, which again saves a lot of time, boosts confidence, and also improves the overall experience that your customers are going to get when they are talking directly to your agents. So how does it enhance efficiency? What we need to be looking at first and foremost, what are the obstacles that we need to overcome here? So in contact center today, in customer services today, there are still some critical areas that are still sort of barriers to maximizing success and efficiency. So one of those is actually the type of information, the access and the ability for agents to actually have the knowledge, keeping that within the organization itself. So agents churn, agents are in training or ramping up. They might not necessarily have the experience to be able to store all of the information in their heads. the snap of a finger. There might be, changes to product offerings, to services offerings, to protocols of processes that they just won't know about. And that's obviously a key obstacle when you're speaking, when the agents are speaking to your customers. That can, again, dampen the overall experience and the quality of the service that's being delivered. As well as that, even still in 2024, we're seeing a big problem still with non-joined up methodologies. So agents having to physically leave their contact center environment to go and retrieve information in order to answer a customer's question. So, going elsewhere, leaving their contact center environment, going off, finding a document, reading through it, finding the relevant information, and then bringing that back to the customer. It takes a lot of time, and again, keeps the customer waiting. From the perspective of the agent, particularly if they're newer, maybe not as experienced, this can really get them in a position where they're feeling really quite flustered, and it lowers their morale. Some interesting things here about this chart I've pulled from businessreporter.com is that when surveying, so these are agents that are being surveyed, answered this poll, 80% of them roughly, it's 78 to 81% there, actually ticked every single one of these boxes. So it's not just one or two of these obstacles that we need to overcome here. It's all of them in conjunction with one another. And by far the most cited challenge was customer repetition. So what does that mean, customer repetition? Well, it relates to two things. First of all, literally a customer having to repeat themselves, the agent having to ask a customer at several points during the journey the same questions and asking for the same information, which is such a huge waste of time. All comes down to time here. But also as well, from the wider picture, what are the most common, are your agents having to field exactly the same types of queries, the same types of questions over and over again? Is there a more effective use of their time? Is there a way that could be delivered in a more clear way to customers? So bearing those obstacles in mind, what kinds of businesses, what kinds of use cases are going to be a good fit for adopting an AI co-piloting tool? Now, at Talkative, we've spoken to a cross-section of customers from all kinds of different verticals, all kinds of different businesses, all kinds of different locations and areas. And these are the key criteria that resonate. These are the key common denominators of customers that we see get the most value out of a co-piloting tool. Often, they will have very complex product matrices. So there are lots of products that are constantly changing, or services, products or services that are constantly changing, being added to. There's a level of complexity there. And because, I've got here on the screen a product matrix of example of like trim levels, for example, on a car, let's say. And there are lots of different ways that you can order that product. There are lots of different ways. And it's impossible for an agent to be able to store all of that information in their heads off the bat if a customer asks a question. Naturally, therefore, products and services may be bought in conjunction with one another. So again, how do they sit? What accessories for this? What do I need to buy for that? And being able to actually apply and know all of that is impossible for a human to know and access immediately inside their own heads. This means that there's a high level of complexity to customer questions that are being asked on a daily basis. Now, naturally, this requires reasoning logic to be applied when answering those customer questions. Sometimes maths is involved. And an area of LLMs that is really underrated and underused in the context of contact center is actually leveraging that to be able to apply the logic, reasoning, calculations that are required to customer questions. And this is where an AI copilot really is very, very powerful. So it can do that almost instantly and to a very high degree of accuracy. So if I give just a quick example here, we've got some wallpaper. Let's say you've got an interior design business and they have over 10,000 products on their website, and a customer is wanting to redecorate their lounge. The customer wants to know how many rolls of wallpaper they need, what type of wallpaper, how many pots of paste they will then need for the size of their room. They may well pose that question to the agent, who is going to have to then leave their environment, find the specs of those different products, do the calculations, and then come back, and it's a long, convoluted process. It can leave the agent flustered, and there's a large margin of error on the agent's part to actually deliver the customer an accurate result. Whereas here, by leveraging the use of the LLM in this situation, that calculation can be done for them. It can be instantly done, pulling the information from the knowledge base, leveraging the information and the calculation logic, applying that logic and reasoning to deliver the correct response. So how does it do this? Where is it sat next to your agent? Well, here's where we want to introduce Navi. So Navi is kind of the crown jewel of our AI co-piloting suite. And Navi is your agent's new best friend. And I really mean that. So Navi has the ability to kind of sit next to the agent through a conversation. It has access to your internal knowledge bases, as well as, like I said, where appropriate, pulling from that external knowledge as well from the LLM to be able to deliver really accurate, fast answers that then your agent can choose to manipulate, change, tweak before then sending on to the customer. Because obviously it has this this access to the LLM, it's run through that generative AI. It understands the context of the conversation, also the wider conversations that are having, and is able to then provide next steps and a guided process for the agent. What should be coming next? What should you be doing next? Maybe what should you be asking next in order to get the best outcome possible? What does this mean? Happier agents, more secure, more confident, saving a lot of time when speaking to customers, and happy customers getting better responses quicker and more efficiently. Now, supervisors, they're not left out either. So what we need to understand, I think you all probably will be nodding your heads in agreement here, for supervisors, one of the biggest time sinks is still an analytics and reporting. So a huge amount of time is spent drilling through conversations, going into detail, going into individual conversations and analyzing the trends and patterns there. Well, we can actually leverage AI to be able to do that for you. So we have AI insights for supervisors that are able to analyze and summarize key patterns and trends, top issues that are emerging, what's being said, where is it being said, by whom, and where is it coming from? What's the cause? Is there potentially an area of your website that needs improvement? Is there potentially an area of automation that can be pursued as well? And it will actually deliver that to you on a cadence that suits you, whether that's monthly or weekly, and can be sent out to as many stakeholders in your team as needed. So I've spoken about it, so now I think it's time to see it in action. So I will be launching a poll. I'll be handing over to Steve, and if you can kind of, share your thoughts in that poll, that'd be fab. So over to you, Steve.
Thank you, Patsy, for being my co-pilot in the session here. So let's move on to show you guys some of this stuff in Talkative and understand how you can deploy and use these tools and technologies. So we ran a session a month and a bit ago, which covered some of the initial implementations of generative AI in the Talkative platform. So a quick catch up for anybody that wasn't here to see those pieces. As Patsy's mentioned, one of the key facets of deploying any generative AI capability, whether it be supporting your chatbots or supporting your agents, is to make sure that your knowledge, as Patsy puts it, is your docs are in a line. So managing knowledge bases in Talkative extremely simple. We give you, as a customer, the ability to create as many knowledge bases as you like. Individual knowledge bases can be applied to specific queues for agent assist Copilot functions, or applied at various flows within your chatbot or chatbots to deliver the appropriate knowledge at the right time within the conversation. It's not just about creating one huge repository of knowledge and potentially diluting the ability of the platform to respond as appropriate. So knowledge bases are very quick and easy to create within the Talkative platform. That might just be scanning a load of URLs, pulling a load of information out of PDFs, loading in documents, and having the platform refresh those and deliver those as appropriate. There's a little bit more detail on that on our previous webinar. If you need further info, obviously, let us know. So when we go to, once we've created a knowledge base, if we're going to allow the agent to utilize those knowledge bases and utilize the Copilot tools that Talkative provides, we allow you to manage Copilot configurations. So a Copilot configuration within Talkative includes the queues that we wish to use this specific suite of Copilot tools on. You may use different features, different capabilities on different queues. You may use different knowledge bases and provide different information across different queues. It's highly likely. So within Talkative, set up as many Copilot configs as you need to. A config can determine, obviously, what knowledge base we wish to take advantage of here. So I'm going to be using my Talkative configuration knowledge base in this demonstration. Obviously, we can set specific models. We'll talk about those models later on. And in this case, we're going to use 3 different features within the Talkative console to progress a conversation. That means autocomplete, Navi, and the AI message suggestions feature. So all of those are set up for me here. So let's progress through a conversation so you guys can see where I will use these tools. So I've created a typical conversation here. I've got the customer flying away on my second screen, and I'm going to deliver some conversations into the Talkative platform to progress. So for anybody that's used Talkative or is aware of Talkative, or I guess even doesn't know, how Talkative looks, this is the Talkative console. I'm going to use Talkative here in its standalone deployment model. But if you're a customer or a partner that's used to seeing Talkative embedded within another solution, be it CRM or contact center type platform, the console operates in exactly the same way and behaves identically. And these tools are available to you across all deployment models. So within Talkative, we provide a number of tabs and information, which I can bring up in this side-by-side view. And I'm going to tip across to the Copilot functions here, which is where we're going to surface up most of the information. So draw your attention, first of all, to the top right-hand corner of this window, because the customers asked us a specific question here. It's a configuration question that's come from our website about the different packages maybe that we provide. And here's a customer here, a typical conversation that I'll have with a customer who's interested in understanding what's available and what's possible with each of these platforms. So in this case, here's my Talkative response. I've got some information here. I can take that reply and send it as is. So the knowledge base has been used here by generative AI to look at what the customer said and provide an appropriate reply and response. In all cases, the system does also have access to the current page the customer's on and any context of conversation that's taken place so far. So I can use that knowledge base answer exactly as is. I can fill in the chat box, make some edits, make some changes to that, or I could use the AI reworder to go in, customize and generate alternative versions of that message. In this case, you can see I've generated a slightly smaller version of that message. For whatever reason, I'm going to use that. Obviously, spelling and grammar is one of the tools that I use the most because I am one of the worst typers in the United Kingdom. So I've sent out an appropriate reply response here, and we're going to carry on this conversation with the customer. He's got further questions. He's got further information that relates to the configuration of Talkative. In this case, he's asking me about whether generative AI is available in the Teams package. Now, again, this is knowledge. This is information, configuration information, maybe something from a product matrices. Hopefully, agents are armed and skilled and capable of responding to these questions. But the idea of Copilot tools to make it quick and easy for the agent to both understand the specifics of a question and what an appropriate response and a reply might be that we wish to use here. So again, top right-hand corner of the screen, an appropriate knowledge base answer has been provided. Unfortunately, we don't provide generative AI with our Teams version of the package, but it is available with both our business and enterprise packages. And here's some additional features. So obviously, I can go ahead again and utilize that facility. But in this example here, I'm going to show you how autocomplete would work in this scenario as well. So I'm going to begin typing. So no, you cannot use. And I'm going to pause at this point because what's going to happen is autocomplete is going to look at what I'm saying. It's going to look at the knowledge base. It's going to look at the context of the conversation and where I'm at right now and draft an appropriate reply and a response from me. So this is a time-saving tool. This is often used by developers today, this kind of, generative autocomplete to very quickly and easily write code. There are many other examples where Microsoft is embedding this sort of technology, or Google's embedding this technology within your email composers and tools like that to help you write and respond to queries and responses as quickly as possible. Now, when autocomplete is being used, I've got two options as an agent. Obviously, I can continue typing and generate a more detailed reply and response based on further things that I've said. At any point, I can hit tab to accept an appropriate answer here, or I can hit escape to cancel out. And as a usability feature, if we find an agent is consistently escaping out of the replies it generates, the agent will be prompted to either continue using this feature or disable this feature. So we give the agent the flexibility. It's not something that's going to annoy them every single time they're typing. It's something they can manage and choose to decide to use or not use at appropriate times. So customers carrying on the conversation, they're happy with the idea now that they want to use generative AI and they think maybe business package is going to be appropriate. So they've asked some information now about pricing. So as you can see in this example, it has access to our pricing page on the website. Appropriate reply has been generated for me here. Now, it does have access, as you can see, to euros and pounds as equivalent pricing structures. It's given me an answer here. It's structured it in a way where it's made an assumption that dollars are in use. That's probably not, too big of a leap because we're using OpenAI. OpenAI being a US-based language model, it's kind of produced that answer. It does produce alternative answers as well. We have seen other examples that it's produced. I might want to sort of take this question a little bit further. So I'm going to ask the customer here where they are located, because I don't necessarily just want to send him the dollar reply. I probably want to know a little bit more information. So just for the purposes of a demonstration, and not because we see a lot of customers from this region specifically, but the customer is going to reply back and let me know where they are located in the world, in this case, Slovakia. Now, if you look up in the top right-hand corner again at my knowledge base answer, my agent assist answer that is produced for me here, it's now automatically updated itself. It's took the context of the conversation. It's took the information that the customer's provided me, and it's refined that answer. In this case, it now knows, or it's assuming, that Slovakia is part of the Eurozone and therefore uses euros. So here's a good point where, obviously it's provided me an appropriate answer here. It's used the knowledge base, but it is an LLM. And there may be times the agent wants to clarify information or understand, information in a little bit more detail. So I might ask, is Slovakia, sorry, let me rephrase that. Does Slovakia use euros? Maybe I need a little bit more info, a little bit more detail. Maybe I want to clarify a response. Maybe I want to round out the reply that the agent assist is used. As we've described, Navi is a tool that, as well as have access to the internal knowledge base, has access to the full capabilities of the language model you're deploying here. In this case, GPT-4. GPT-4 was trained around September 2023, last year, as a cutoff date. So the LLM has knowledge up until that period. As newer models become along, that knowledge is refreshed, is better, and is newer. So, for example, GPT-4o is March this year, trained up to March. So once that's implemented, we'll have much more up-to-date information. But as we can see, really quickly here, Navi does have that capability for me. So the other thing I might want to do here is, I'm on a sales conversation here. I'm going to try and pretty this up in some way. I don't want to just give you the information exactly as. How do I say, welcome to Talkative in Slovakia? See, we have a whole range of translation tools that you can take advantage of within Talkative today. You may well be aware, we can translate languages on the fly. If this customer is already talking to us in Slovakian, we could have been translating that themselves. But I'm just going to supplement this conversation here. I've taken the knowledge base answer. I'm going to use my greeting just to make it look a little bit nicer. So another example of types of things, you can ask for info. Navi is there to help you. It's there to give the agent information to help them progress the conversation, not just using the auto assist exactly as it is. So we've given an answer to the customer. It's got an option out there. Now, it's been pretty clear. It's given me some information there about the business package, and it's given me some limits. So there's a specific limit that we provide within our business package of a minimum of 10 users. Now, I've got a bit of a chancer here from Slovakia asking a conversation. So they're asking me in this instance, can I get pricing for 5 users on the monthly package right now? So again, this is where we wanted to surface up to you guys that the knowledge base that we've provided, where it contains configuration information, where it contains limitations, the platform understands those. The language model isn't just going to, generate a verbatim answer. It's not going to hallucinate a reply here. It's not going to assume that just because the customer said, I'm going to have 5 users at this price, that it's going to double down on that and just keep progressing on. The platform does tell me, that is, an appropriate answer. And again, we could use Navi here to help us understand that. So does the business package have a minimum number of users? Obviously the generative AI reply does have that. It does know that information, but maybe I need to check something out. Maybe I need to ask something. So again, Navi, as well as have access to the wider language model, does also have access to your knowledge base. So the agent has a whole massive amount of information available at their fingertips there at any specific time. So I'm just going to send that knowledge base response and send an appropriate answer out. So in this case then as well, lastly, just to show you some of the calculation type capabilities, the customer here says, great, all right, then I can't have 5 users. We're going to have 10 users. Can you give me the price on that, please? So again, it's not a complicated piece of maths in this specific example. Even I can do 55 euros times 10 to get an appropriate price out the platform. But where this could be a much more complex piece of information, Patsy described, the example that it had with one of our customers a month or so ago that we demonstrated, where we knew the length of wallpaper that was provided for this customer. We knew the wall coverage, the size of the walls. And there was configuration information in the FAQ about the coverage of paste and how that would work as appropriate. So when we ask a question like, I've got 15 rolls of paper, how much paste will I need? The system was able to do that math, surface that information up, and give the agent an appropriate number of tins of paste that this customer was going to need to use to reply back. So it was incredibly useful to understand that language models aren't just reading back information verbatim. They're able to apply logic, reasoning, and maths to give the agent information that might be a little bit more complex to collate, or information they might not be able to use at their fingertips. So as we've mentioned, Navi does have access to a few other areas of the platform. So what page is this customer on? As well as the current context of the conversation, as well as the knowledge base and the wider LLM, we give Navi information about where that customer is on the website. Navi can then use that to help understand and reply to questions. It can use that to supplement the replies and the conversations it's got. I'm using the talkative web page that we used in the last demo, where we've got the Hogwarts demonstration bot that you guys can all have a play with afterwards. We'll share these links with you. Other things that we can do is a typical conversation, maybe, a normal agent throughout their conversation. It's been very easy for me here. I'm just dealing with one chat and I'm sitting here progressing this, but I could be handling multiple chats across the system. Chats could be taking a long period. This is applying to a web chat, but if this was an SMS or a WhatsApp conversation, it might have taken place throughout the entire day. Maybe I've been transferred an interaction from somebody else and I need to understand quickly and easily what the current state of this conversation is without having to read everything there. So Navi is able to summarize conversations for me. It's able to tell me at the click of a button exactly where we're at in this conversation right now. And lastly, then, one of the most powerful features, I think, of the Navi tool available to us today is the Next Actions button. So Next Actions uses the generative capabilities of the large language model. It's looking at what the customer has said. It's looking at who we are as a business. It's looking at the web page right now, and it's trying to identify what this customer will need and what the agent will need to progress this conversation. So I've clicked Next Actions here. Now, this is not an agent scripting tool, which you may be aware are possible within contact center platforms where you can define specific outcomes. All we're doing here is a very quick and easy ask Navi, how do you think we might need to progress this conversation? As you can see here, it formatted a response. It's given us some information about what we think we need to do. So in this case, maybe the customer needs to know the annual cost. It's highly likely they might need some additional information. Maybe you can tell them a little bit more about what the business package includes, help them understand. It looks like they're focusing on generative AI. That's questions they've asked. So give them some information there. What are the next steps we can take? How do we get them to sign up for the business package? Do we do this, do that? Maybe they need to speak to a salesman. Is there any follow-up questions they might need? And in fact, Navi's gone to the trouble of actually producing an appropriate reply and response for me here that I could use to progress that action. So Navi, extremely useful, extremely capable helper that sits there. It's understanding context of the conversation, knowledge, where the customer is on the website, how this conversation is going right now, and can support the agent throughout that conversation to give them info and get them through that chat as quickly and efficiently with the appropriate knowledge as possible here. So I'm going to end this chat. Let's show you a couple of other areas that are available in the solution. So we've mentioned, as well as obviously the agent capabilities that we'd need within a Copilot world, we also want to give supervisors a better ability to understand the conversations that are taking place. Now, there's lots of things that could be used for that today. We obviously got interaction logs, we've got tagging, we've got a whole raft of sort of analytics and real-time dashboards available in the tool. But one of the more complicated tasks that you'll need to collate within a contact center is understanding what types of conversations you're having over a specific period across your certain queues. So Talkative has AI insights reports. AI insights can be defined per queue or groups of queues as required. So you can focus in on a specific service or part of your platform to understand what chats you're having there and differentiate that out from other areas of the platform. How quickly and how often do you want to look at that data? We give you the option to run this on a weekly basis or collate this over a much wider monthly basis. So I have a report here really quickly that we can jump into, which is my AI Insights report. This is based on March this year, which is when we hosted the previous webinar about using generative AI, both in chatbots and Agent Assist, which we had in the platform at the time. So ignore the weird types of conversations it's showing here, because this was relevant to our Hogwarts chatbot that we'd built for that demo. And you can see here, here's our top 10 topics of conversation that took place throughout that reporting period across the queues that I'd assigned this to. So this is a real quick and easy tool and really powerful for your business to understand what types of conversations you're having. This is going to help you. Here, we're going to provide some suggestions for you of how that could be automated, things you might need to do. But I'm sure you can apply, once you have this knowledge, maybe this helps you identify where there are shortfalls in the website journey, help you identify, where to supplement your knowledge bases with additional info, as well as making changes to the chatbots or the website experiences themselves. There's a lot of capabilities there to help you measure and identify exactly what's been taking place on your system today. And then lastly, we've got a tool here that helps you with another challenge that we'll be facing in a contact center, particularly where you have high churn or where you have new services, new products that you might be bringing into your organization. It's very difficult for an agent to talk to somebody for the very first time. It takes a little while to build up some experience. It's difficult to progress technical information or configuration information on brand new products and services maybe they don't know. Often this would be resolved by a typical contact center role playing, maybe running some training sessions, maybe sitting there and generating some chats, generating some interactions into the queue so that you can see, how your agents would perform. So what Talkative provides is an AI generator that's able to create personas customers with specific scenarios into the queue for you, whether it be for training purposes, whether it be for upskilling, whether it be, you know, to give them some comfort, or enhance the knowledge base capabilities that we have in the system, or apply some quality monitoring. There's lots and lots of use cases here, but we'll focus on the idea of training right now. So here I've created a scenario where I have a customer that has a problem with their heating. With our training scenarios tool, you can configure everything about that scenario, who you are as an organization, what's the current problem this customer's facing, who is the customer. You give them a persona, you give them a character. You can decide what their current mood is when they join the conversation. They can be happy, sad, upset. What are the escalation triggers? What are they ultimately looking to resolve this interaction? And what we would consider success or failure outcomes. If we reach a success or a failure outcome, the chat will be ended by the customer, and we'll measure that at the end to show you when a conversation has been successful or has failed. So once you've created scenarios, a supervisor anytime can go in and assign those training scenarios to specific users. We assign a queue, not because we're queuing the interaction, but because we want you to apply a specific knowledge base for this type of conversation, and we can determine which scenario we wish to queue up. The agents as well, at any time, do also have the ability from within their console to request the training session at any time from their settings. So they can be proactive. You might tell your agents, rather than queuing these up, look, when you've got 5 minutes or when you get back from lunch before you go available again, just run a training scenario and let's take a look. So I've clicked the training scenario option. As you can see, this has created an interaction into the queue for me. So Paul Jeff here is a completely made up person. This is generative AI, you know, role playing with me and creating a scenario. So I'll just progress this a couple of questions here. I'm not going to take you through the full scenario. If you want to see this in a little bit more detail, come and have a chat with me. So there you go. I've got a pretty natural language version. His boiler's gone kaput. He's got an issue. Now, obviously, you can see I didn't script this. I didn't have to write this text down. I didn't have to define all these stages in a big chatbot or anything here. I've just given generative AI a scenario and asked it to progress this conversation. So I'm going to say, sorry to hear this, Paul. I will do what I can to help you. Can you first let me know your postcode and house number? For once, I've been able to type accurately. Brilliant. Now, obviously, your agents are going to know how to progress these conversations. I'm just using my own imagination here and typical things. The platform is going to respond and reply to everything I say. It's going to try and keep that conversation on track. We've got escalation triggers. We've got goals that they want out of this conversation. So throughout, if I go down the wrong road here, if the agent's asking invalid questions, incorrect information, you know, the customer's going to get frustrated. They're going to re-prompt me, you know, and they're going to follow along with me, whatever tone, you know, whatever type of context I've got. It knows what its goal is. It's trying to get that through to me. So can I just confirm your electricity is still on? You know, whatever question I might think to ask it, you know, within the scenario, within the bounds of how we've defined things, you know, Paul Jeff here, our AI customer, is going to carry on. Now, obviously, I'm going to keep progressing this conversation. Ultimately, I want to get to a successful outcome. And at the end of the whole conversation train, the supervisor can go and view all of the training sessions, identify where they've been success or failures, and look into that interaction in a little bit more detail, identify maybe training requirements, identify where knowledge bases need to be improved, or whatever other actions that might need to be taken. So there's an overview for you guys of all that's possible within the Talkative platform. So let's pivot across and let's take a look at any Q&A that you guys might have, or any specific questions that you might have asked. So somebody's prompted me here to say, if the agent rejects autocomplete, how can they activate it again? So yeah, within the supervisor tool at any time, if the agent has disabled the autocomplete function, the supervisor can re-trigger that and re-enable that facility at the top end to force it on. Obviously, it doesn't just immediately cancel it. It does require a pretty persistent string of cancellations of the customer dropping out of specific elements. How soon does the Copilot knowledge update when we're using websites? So it's a good question. We give you the ability, if you're using a URL-based knowledge base, to consistently go back and review that information within the knowledge base setup itself. Once you've configured your URLs and set up your knowledge base, you get four options. You can either say, I never want to refresh that info because maybe you're happy with what it is right now and you never need it to keep going back. But alternatively, you can set the cadence of when we will refresh and re-review that info. And that can be either daily, weekly, or monthly. So in that scenario, once you've set an option, we'll keep scanning those URLs, keep scanning that website based on your schedule, and go back and set the appropriate refresh period. Apologies, Patsy. I think I did miss one element, which is just to give you guys a little view of what's next for Talkative. So we are just at the beginning of this generative AI roadmap. We see lots and lots of features, lots of capabilities. We're running many ideas right now. And fortunately, due to the capabilities and the APIs that are available to us, it's extremely rapid to generate these features and bring these into the platform. And we're always interested to hear what our customers and partners think may be useful capabilities here. So don't be afraid to give us any feedback, anything you think would be useful for us. So very quickly, I should just point out as well, I didn't put it on here, that Navi, the toolbar that we're using there, and I've been engaging in a chat interaction, which could have been a social media interaction. It could have been an interaction through a mobile app where Talkative's in use, or a web chat like we covered there. Navi is able to obviously understand context and allow me to ask questions while we're progressing. That will apply to our voice and video capability in our next release next week as well. So while you are engaging in a video interaction, we now have real-time transcription within our video solution, and Navi will have access to that real-time transcription so that the agent can continue to ask questions of Navi about the current conversation, including summarizations, next actions, and elements like that, which is really, really useful to help an agent throughout a voice conversation. Obviously, things like autocomplete are not appropriate. Agent assist maybe isn't real time enough maybe to support us in a voice conversation at this stage. But as the API changes, as things improve, maybe that will go better. But as per my big flashing arrows here, our number one requested feature every single time we talk about chatbots and generative AI is customers ask us, can we do this via voice as well? So this is currently in development. And we should see this feature within a month or so. Our current plan is to run another webinar for you guys within a month or two once that feature is available, to help you understand the way that will work and understand the capabilities of that. It's extremely powerful already. We've got some great demonstrations in-house, even down to the point of being able to define the persona of the user, the voice that we're using. You may have heard about the chaos that's been generated this week, where potentially Scarlett Johansson's voice has been used by OpenAI for their new GPT-4o model and things like that. You know, obviously, AI gives us a lot of ability to customize the voice and not just have our standard robotic Siri-like voices that we might want to use. So another question we get asked quite regularly, we mentioned the fact that we use OpenAI today, and we allow you access to the GPT 3.5 and GPT-4 model. Again, as of next week, we'll have GPT-4o, the latest model from OpenAI, available in the platform as well. But there are further questions there. You know, GPT, OpenAI is a US-based AI right now. There's no option, if we're using that, to go into any other regions. So you may have privacy protection regions, data sovereignty that you need to maintain to use these technologies. So Amazon provides a service called Bedrock, which allows us to host an LLM in any region where there is an Amazon Web Services capability. So we're leveraging that to allow you to use whichever region you want to host an LLM, wherever that might be. And when we say host an LLM, that means using any open source or available LLM that's available in the market. There are many other LLMs, many other choices than OpenAI. One we see a lot of capability in is Meta's Llama 3. That's a completely outsourced language model, which means you can tweak it, change it, update it as you need to. It's very, very capable, and it's very efficient from a token usage perspective. So we're looking forward to having that in the platform and available for users, alternatives to the GPT. Supervisor active monitoring is being worked on right now. So what this means is we have alerting, we have threshold alerting and capabilities in the platform today to notify supervisors if a certain number tips over. Maybe customer satisfaction drops below a number, maybe sentiment analysis goes below a certain value. But these are hard defined values, and it's difficult to track specific things within a conversation you'd want to be alerted on. So active monitoring lets you use natural language to define alerts that you want to be notified on. Maybe we want to know when the agent begins to get, or agent or customer gets frustrated in a conversation. Maybe we want to know when somebody's swearing or using bad language. Maybe we want to know when the agent seems to be struggling to answer a specific question. So active monitoring is giving you as a supervisor the ability to define these terms, define these phrases, and let the generative AI notify you when those phrases have been used. And lastly, we mentioned understanding conversations and what types of conversations we're having by using tagging. And that can be a challenge in a business. If an agent is handling multiple conversations at a time, maybe they're not going to be as effective in their wrap up. They haven't got time to sit there and think about all the tags we wish to apply to an interaction. Maybe they just can't be bothered. Maybe they're inaccurate. Maybe they've had a conversation and they're just like, oh, I'm just going to pick the first one that's there on the list. I'm not going to pick all the appropriate tags. So in order to make life easy, when we end interactions, we're going to auto assign tags to the agent and surface those up to the agent so that they can either accept or decline those. It makes the whole process much quicker. It should make it more efficient and help you get a better understanding of the specifics of those questions. So I'm not sure if we've got any more Cree. As somebody's asking, AI suggestions Navi auditable? So yeah, so we do provide within the platform, when you create a knowledge base, we do give you the ability to track when the generative AI has provided a successful response or when generative AI has provided an incorrect response. So we are using some knowledge there to help you understand on specific queries where that's been a successful outcome or where that's been an unsuccessful outcome. There's definitely going to be further things that we're going to add along the line there to help you improve the quality of your knowledge bases. There are some platforms that use a capability called tuning, which is where we can scan conversations, analyze conversations later, and make appropriate changes and updates to the knowledge base. Maybe, if we consistently see the same answer used by agents, apply that. Right now, we're a bit cautious about implementing tuning because it can result in incorrect information ended up in your knowledge bases, inappropriate information ended up in knowledge bases. We think the supervisor should be defining them now, but that's definitely an area we may look at as the LLMs improve and as knowledge and understanding improves in the system. And obviously, you've always got the ability to review all the conversations in the platform, use analytics to help you understand what types of chats you've been going and progress through from there. So I think that's everything for today. We've took you right up pretty much towards the end. So Patsy, do you want to just wrap us up?
Yeah, thanks everyone so much for joining. I know we've run over just a little bit today, but hopefully it's been useful. So if you do have any questions at all, please do reach out to us. There will be a recording of this webinar sent out to you all. So if you do want to share that with your teams, please feel free to do so. And yeah, hope you guys gained a lot, and any other questions, please do just reach out. So thanks for your time today, guys. Take care.